But an out-of-control teenager is a little bit different story. But we can have an impact on them also. And I'm going to introduce Ricky Crown over here in a minute, his video. And he just told me a few minutes ago that Ricky owns a roofing business. And he just told me a few minutes ago that I helped him with his first job. I did not know that. And I told him I'm expecting some royalty checks. To which he replied, the check's in the mail. So, but Ricky was with us back, 2000, was it? 2000, he was 14, 15 years old, 15? He's 28 now. I accused him of being 30 a little while ago, and he corrected me, but 28, which makes me feel really old. But Ricky was a good kid, and I say a kid back then, he's now a man, and a very successful man. And I'm going to let him talk more about himself in the video.
My life before I came to the Tennessee Children's Home consisted of getting into a lot of trouble. When I was about 8.5 years old was when it started. My dad had recently passed away, and we moved to Franklin around Memphis and just started doing what I wanted to do, disobeying my mom and any other person who I would perceive to be an authority figure. And my mom never remarried, so I never had another father figure in my life. So constantly I was in and out of trouble, just running the streets and doing what I felt like I wanted to do, making my own decisions. When I became a resident at the Tennessee Children's Home, I started out just trying to basically lay low, be quiet, and see how everything around me worked. Eventually, I actually broke out of my own shell and started paying attention to the other people. Started to learn and understand that being here wasn't necessarily like a jail or an imprisonment. It was more of modern day life and the way that family and values and stuff should be. Here at the Tennessee Children's Home, that's what you get taught. Not necessarily do you get taught you're going to be punished because of this, but more or less that you have family who will support you, back you up, and not necessarily criticize you for your wrongdoing, but more help walk you through it and work with you through any trouble that comes your way. Since leaving the Children's Home, it's been about 14 years, and it was a little rocky starting out. However, now today I currently own my own business. I fought against every battle that most common people would try to say against a juvenile, someone who grew up in state's custody, which was, you'll grow up to be like your dad or like this person. Ultimately, what I found out is you grow up to be who you want to be. You make your own decisions, and ultimately, any goal that you set, you can reach, no matter what your past has been, what you've been through. My feelings for the Tennessee Children's Home are very high as far as the people and the programs that I respect. And one of them was Mr. Mike Uhouse and his family. I was in their home for 10 months while I was in the children's home, and he took me in as one of his own kids. And honestly, for the 10 months I was here, he was one of the closest things as a father figure. And he constantly would help you and talk to you through things and just to teach you life values. The Tennessee Children's Home made an impact in my life at the younger age I was here. I was here when I was 15 until 16. And within the 10 months of my stay here, I would say I turned my life around from how I started out and the time I was here. It made an impact in my life to where 14 years later to today's date, it's something, and there's people I still talk about here, and I encourage people to listen to other people's stories, and whether or not it's someone you don't like, but if they're an authority figure or just another person who has life experience. That's what I learned at the children's home, talking to all the house parents, Mike Uhals, James McHugh, and everybody who's here.
Penny and I got involved in this great mission work because we wanted to make a difference in the lives of young people and their families. This work allowed us an opportunity to mold Christ and mentor them into the mind and thought process of these young people so we could teach and preach Christ, and helping them to become productive citizens. And having my partner, my best friend, my wife, working alongside of me, together, make it that much more rewarding. Penny, she loves the children. She does what she does with passion, patience, and prayer. To God be the glory. The Great Commission, or the Great Commandment, must precede the Great Commission. Because we, at Tennessee Children's Home, love God. We take seriously the second commandment, to love others as ourselves, and to do unto them as we would have them do unto us. When we get the first charge right, the second becomes relatively easy. Whether you are talking about digging deep into your pockets to support, or the work that we do on a daily basis for this great work for Jesus Christ. And as a result of that, we have lives that have been changed and impacted. Families that have been strengthened. I'm going to introduce you to this next hero. That's John Grimes. He couldn't be here tonight. He was Skyped in. But we're honored to have here on stage his mother, Miss Debbie Grimes, and his sister, A.J. DeJarrett, with us tonight. John internalized the things and principles and skills that we tried to teach him. John is now a leader serving our country. Let me introduce our hero, my hero, John Grimes.
I'm John Grimes. I was born out of Nashville, Tennessee, and I spent April 2004 until about mid-October 2004 at the Tennessee Children's Home, located in Spring Hill, Tennessee. Up until that time, it was sort of a tumultuous time in my life. Between my parents, things weren't always well at home. My dad was usually out of town on business. My mom wasn't in best healthy state at that time. So you can only imagine for a teenager, that can be kind of hard. When you kind of missing a mentor in that situation, sometimes you can kind of veer off of your path, so to speak. Which kind of led to my led to sort of a demise when I was about 16. Got into some little trouble, whether it was at school, outside school, as a juvenile delinquent, and my parents and the judge felt it was best to place me at the home, and hopefully it would get me back on track. At that time, like I said, I didn't have much respect for, I guess you could say, authority or authoritative figures. It was, you could say, a rude awakening upon my arrival there, and there was definitely adjustment. Having guys like Mike Uhas and Mr. Johnson and others, really, I was able to see some leadership at that time, something I needed as an adolescent that I didn't really have at home. And guys like Mr. Uhas kind of took me under his wings, so to speak, and kind of mentored me and helped me understand that, you know, you don't have to have two parents at home. You don't have to have all that. You can't look for excuses for reasons why you're not productive or you know, whether it's anything with behavior outside of school incidents, anything. You have to find a way to channel all that, whether it's anger, whether it be whatever it is going on, and you have to make yourself better. And working in the hayfields with them, gardening, going to church 3 times a week, those type of things kind of built up a good work ethic for me, taught me the value in work, the principles, and just building up good work ethics and habits to kind of help develop me growing up. Wow, it was special, and I actually got to enjoy all that and working with others. It helped me work better with other people and kind of take charge and kind of try and lift those around me that were maybe struggling with the adjustments of being there and things like that. And it kind of taught me some good leadership skills that I took later into the Navy and I continue to try and use today. I spent from June 2008 until December 2012 in the United States Navy. Now I'm located just outside of Washington, D.C., where it all started for me here in the Navy on the aircraft carrier, the Harry S. Truman, where I became the commanding officer's yeoman, working directly with the commanding officer and the ship secretary, and I got to be a part of some special moments of some deployments. As I was in the Honor Guard in D.C., I also got to do some state dinners. I was a part of the inauguration. I've been next to Obama several times, spoke a few times with him, as well as the Vice President, Mr. Biden. So and I guess what led to all that, what helped me, give me strength to find it within myself to enlist into the armed forces was kind of what I learned at the home. When I was thrown there, kind of thrown into the wolves almost, I built up a lot of self-discipline, a lot of leadership skills, like I alluded to earlier, that helped me realize that I can do anything I put my mind to. So I said, well, the best thing I can do now is dedicate my service to my country, and hopefully that will get me on the right path, and I can go to school and move forward with my life. That's what I've done now. I'm studying full-time and working part-time. Right now I'm taking 5 classes, and I'm on pace to obtain my bachelor's next year. I have some credits from the Navy, and I'll be getting my associates just in a few more months. And I'm looking at going into business. I'm studying international business, minoring in economics. Like I said, I think a lot of that is attributed to the home. If anything, I would like to contribute to the home and whatever I could do. I'm hoping this helps, stories like mine, because even if it's just 1 out of 10 of those kids that you can help, they can contribute to society, whatever area it is. My story or for. I'm sure there's plenty others, but if you can just touch one of those young men's lives, they can go on and reach out to others and help them too. I feel like it's pivotal that the state and others continue to help aid, because the children's home does a whole lot of good for a whole lot of young men like myself. I came from humble beginnings, and I never forget where I came from. And like I said, a lot of my success is of course attributed to the Tennessee Children's Home. And it was a special point in my life. It's where I finally knew I could believe in myself and I could achieve what I wanted to.
You want to talk more? You're done, okay. Hey, let's give a big hand to Chris and Mindy and Mike and Home, Dr. James and Penny, and all the great work that Tennessee Children's Home is doing. I wish my boys were here to watch that. Parker boys, did y'all see that? Okay, because that's my threat now to my sons. If they don't act right, I'm going to throw them to the wolves. It's a big honor for me. University of Tennessee, it's where I went. I was born and raised in Knoxville. I went to college there for 6 years. I didn't graduate, but I went on 6 spring break, so I'm not an idiot, just a bad Asian. This is an honor for me right here. These two gentlemen I want to introduce here. You got it? Tennessee volunteer here, because we are in Tennessee. It is the volunteer state. They can't make you live here. Or there's 3 people. I can only have 2 here. I got Joe Johnson. Big hand. Milton Sewell. Big hand. Right here is Conrad Slate. Big hand.
I was going to bring you an enthusiastic greeting from East Tennessee, but I'm not going to try that. Henry, I think, has done that very well. I live in Knoxville, and have been associated with the Children's Home since 2001, and I am honored to be here this evening. Goodness, you don't know when there are 5,000 to 6,000 members of the Church of Christ in all 33 counties of East Tennessee. To come in and see a group like this in one place is marvelous, and I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be here for a lot of reasons, but one is that these 2 distinguished gentlemen, if you don't know them personally, and many of you do know both of them personally, you certainly know their reputation for integrity, for caring about young people, and particularly the students who they saw pass through their campuses. And I have a question I'm going to pose to them in a moment about that and why they are here with me on the stage this evening. And my job is just to ask them to comment on several things. I don't know what they're going to say. I laughed and told Dr. Sewell, I said, you can really tell that this has been rehearsed. I didn't even know which seat to sit in. He said, you sit in the middle. And I'm good at taking instructions. But
college presidents tend to do that.
Well, I'm a step or 2 below that. But I did graduate. I will begin by asking either or both of you, if you would, to comment on child care in Tennessee, things that we know about it, facts and so forth. Would either of you?
I mean, I don't know how factual I can be, Conrad. Let me take a first swing at that. Being involved with Knox Area Rescue Ministries, Emerald Youth Foundation, Helen Ross McNabb Mental Health Center, Boy Scouts, and some other organizations, Imagination Library, I see a lot of wonderful things with young people. with strong families doing things well. And that's my concern, and I think we always need to remember that there are a lot of wonderful people doing wonderful things with their children. But also a great concern, one of the things which the Tennessee Children's Home does is address these shortcomings that you see when youngsters end up in homeless shelters, when they end up in a mental health treatment facility with drug issues, alcohol issues, abuse issues, and that is a concern of mine. And there are a lot of folks work on resolving that issue. And sometimes you hear people say, well, if you could just get parents to do what they ought to do, then everything would be fine. But folks, that's not going to happen. I don't think. There will always be those youngsters who need, and families who need special kinds of assistance. Sometimes it's because of physical problems, mental problems, but when I get involved with some of these people, Conrad, I guess I'll quit wandering around, but there are large numbers of young folks who have serious needs that some adults need to address and provide discipline, guidance, spiritual examples of folks. And they're out there, and I think they're going to be with us for a long time.
Dr. Sewell, do you have any?
I lived in Alabama.
Bless you. I'm an Alabamian also, so that.
From Vernon, Alabama.
Yes, that's right.
And I'm from Florence, but there was a problem in Alabama with children whose parents many times were not able to take care of them, and for sometimes various reasons the parents were either killed or not able to manage them, and there was a need. Child haven was what we grew up knowing, Joe, as I recall, and I heard then some of the stories about some of the young people, and I knew of some of the folks who went through child haven, and Jerry Barber's wife is one of them. What a wonderful lady she is, and she went through, and a lot of others. I had a roommate in college who had gone through child haven because his parents were not able to take care of him. I don't remember the circumstances. Well, then we moved to Georgia eventually, and of course there's Agape over there. And I'm so happy to be a member of the Church of Christ that does take care of children like this. And the churches of Christ have been very supportive of child haven, and of course Agape in Alabama. Now it's broadened out, and also in Georgia and here in Tennessee. The Tennessee Children's Home, in my opinion, has progressed in the way that you've done it. You've done such a good job in rearing the children, and we've seen evidence of course, on the screens. But there are many others. We were up in Illinois recently, and the Amish recognize that children in their teen years go through a struggle. No matter whether your children or somebody else, they're growing and developing. I don't remember the word they use for it, but I was talking with some of them, and they said their parents sort of realize that they may get out of control between 12, 15, and up to about 20. Then they have to decide, am I going to get right or not? And they do. Having worked in public and Christian schools, I saw children who were many times neglected because their parents did not take the leadership and try to bring them under control. And there can be children that are malfunctioning even in homes of their parents. I grew up with a boy whose parents would not say no to him. And if anybody else, the school got in trouble at school, the school was in trouble. The teachers were in trouble. And it was no real surprise that he died in prison just a few years later. Had somebody taken him, like a Mike Uhas or some of these others, Tennessee Children's Home, had taken him and taught him right from wrong, it might have made a difference in his life. And as a result, And so Laurel and I are just deeply impressed with what we've seen. They're in the Henderson area with the Tennessee Children's Home, as well as across the state. They're fitting a tremendous need, and that's it's critical. And we want to go to heaven, and taking care of children and helping with those children that need help like this, whether they're at this age or whether they're in college. That's, I think, our responsibility as Christians. I believe the Lord will welcome us there if we have taken that seriously.
Just one comment on what Milton made. Talking about the family, the person he knew died in prison. The state of Tennessee spends $50,000 to $60,000 a year to keep a person of any age in prison. And with the dollars used by the Tennessee Children's Home from different sources, that's a whole lot less. And those youngsters who are cared for by Tennessee Children's Home end up being responsible citizens doing good things rather than being in prison at $50,000 to $60,000 a year.
Let me follow up that by asking each of you, you have been willing to lend your influence and your good offices and your name to this effort by being here tonight and by speaking for us in different forums and so forth. And I know, given your background and so forth, you don't want to lend your name to something that would not lend honor to your name, or that would lead someone astray, or have someone come back to you and say, well, you know, I don't think that was a very smart thing for you to do. So what was it that helped you reach a decision to be willing to sit up here tonight and to be willing to be our spokesman?
One, the Kingville Church of Christ, which was Caneville Church of Christ, which was outside of Kennedy, which is south of Florence. I remember it sent $10 a month to child aid. That may be one reason I'm sitting here. The other is, this program, I've been in higher education. You like for things to be certified by somebody that certifies you as being quality. And Tennessee Children's Home is certified. It's accredited. Because if you're going to support something, and particularly if it's dealing with children, you want to make sure the program, the people, the facilities are certified and accredited. I should pick on, you know, if you go to Auburn, you're not going to get an education. I mean, that's just the way it is. Even though it's semi-accredited. Semi-accredited. But, and the other reason, and Milton said this well, it is a Christian organization. It is Christ-centered. The people that are there, that work there, it is Christ-centered. And that becomes a very important factor to me. So one, my old church down there in Kingville sent money. Two, it's accredited, it's certified. Two, it's Christian in its objective, in its philosophy, and in what it does. And as we've seen tonight, it produces successes in some instances, and the percentage of successes, that percentage is very high.
Dave Thomas, who founded Wendy's, was an orphan, and somebody took him in, made a difference in his life. I remember one time Art Linkletter was on campus, and he and I were talking about how he was brought up. And he was telling that he was left on the front porch in a little box on somebody's house. And somebody took him in, took care of him, and made a great influence out of it. But you know, one of the things that causes us to want to be a part of helping not only college students to get through college, but also Tennessee Children's Home, is that we had good parents. I mean, we had good parents. And they taught us right from wrong. And we got to go to church and mix and mingle, and to me, that's a way of saying thank you, Lord, for letting us have parents like this, and I wish that every child could have this kind of opportunity. Wouldn't it be fun if every child could be in a family like that was up here singing tonight? It's not possible, but that was just a fun thing to watch that family interact there. And we see that family interaction out at the Tennessee Children's Home as well as you do. So a lot of our giving is to let the Lord know that we're very grateful that He has blessed us. Therefore, let's us try to bless some of these children that are less fortunate.
Just one, my mother was a very loving lady, and she'd probably be in prison for child abuse. Her favorite punishment was an egg turner with holes in it. But it was good for her, because it was done, she said it was done in love. I wasn't sure about that, but it worked. I made it. I got out of Kennedy High School and somehow wandered up to Tennessee, and things turned out all right.
I'm sitting here listening to the things that you're saying, and somehow I want to involve everyone here in the room in some of your comments. So let me ask each of you, what are the ways that we as individuals can really get involved in our campaign, providing directions? What can I do? I can't necessarily write the big check, but what are the things that we can do to support this campaign based on your experience as administrators having to see developments and things done on your campus? It's not just a matter of somebody writing a check. There's a lot more that goes into it. Would you make comments about what the least among us could do?
You know, if you were talking about fiscal support, I'll come back